Cette conférence va maintenant être enregistrée.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here, for participating too in our webinar on technological innovations in favor of the elderly go international in presence of Lorraine Morlet and Advan Berlo. So good morning to both of you, and thank you for your involvement in this event.
Morning.
So the first part will be presented by Lorraine. So Lorraine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Angelique. And Angelique is going to be changing the slides for me because for some reason I can't do it at my end. But I wanted to say a very good morning to everybody and thank you for coming along today. We're all operating in what is a really interesting and dynamic and ever expanding industry, but one that is quite complicated and quite fragmented. And I think we all would like to see a little bit more kind of simplicity. So today we're going to hopefully provide some of that. I'm going to start off just by talking a little bit about the programme that Ad and I and Clubster were involved in for 4 years, which finished at the end of last year. So I'll give you a quick overview of that, and then I'll hand over to Ad, who will tell you the up-to-date position in terms of what came out of that programme. And then there's an opportunity to ask questions, and we can have a discussion at the end, open to anything you want to ask or comments you want to make. So we'll make this, I hope, quite a sort of interesting discussion, and that's often where most of the interesting activity takes place, I think. So if we could move to the next slide. So please, Angelique, and one more. Okay, so as I mentioned, my name is Dr. Lorraine Morley, and I was the lead at the UK end of the Seize to Grow programme and Age Tech Accelerator. And Seize to Grow actually stands for Silver Economy Accelerating Strategies to Grow, but nobody could ever remember that name, so they shortened it to Seize to Grow, and we actually created our own brand, which became known internationally as the Age Tech Accelerator programme. So Seize to Grow was an EU-funded programme designed to further develop the emerging healthy ageing and age tech ecosystem by expanding the network of organisations operating within it and supporting businesses with the most promising products and services. The programme was oversubscribed, and in the end we supported nearly twice as many organisations as had originally been planned. And this demonstrates, I think, how dynamic the sector is becoming and how many businesses wanted or needed help on their innovation journey. But at the heart of the programme were the 4 living labs, one in each country. So that was one in France, one in the Netherlands, one in Belgium, and one here in the UK. And for those not familiar with the living lab, with what living labs are, it's a research concept which can be defined as a user-centred, iterative, open innovation ecosystem, and they're often made up of public, private and people partnerships. But the success of the project was not just about the processes and the practicalities, though in the end the programme was held up very much as a best practice example of how you can take 9 organisations from 4 countries, and we had, I think, 24 people in the team at one point, and we all worked together in a very successful and efficient way, and had some really successful and positive outcomes. So if we move to the next slide, so as I said, the success of the project was not just about the processes and the practicalities, but we delivered a wide range of services. So we funded support in, I said, a wide range of areas with the value of services ranging from €450 for introductions up to nearly 50,000 euros for a large-scale pilot of the health and wellbeing wearable. And that involved nearly 100 people, but the average funding for services was around about €16,000. First, we interviewed and shortlisted businesses, and together the businesses and us selected the services we felt best met their needs depending on their TRL and also their aspirations and their target market. The most popular services were cross-border market studies and co-creation sessions, either with customers or with healthcare professionals. But the overall aim was to furnish the businesses with some hard data and evidence to help either with the development of the product itself or to present to potential funders or investors. And in fairness, many businesses initially thought that they could do this sort of work for themselves, and some businesses can, but working with Living Lab experts speeds up the whole process and produces data and evidence that is defensible and that people trust because it's impartial. And it's that impartiality that is critical. So moving on to the next slide. So the products and services we supported included a sophisticated health and wellbeing wearable. And I'll be really interested in learning more when we come to the discussion about the kind of things that you're developing yourselves. So we had a sophisticated health and wellbeing wearable, a smart medications pack, products which supported people with dementia and their families, a volunteer transport app, rehabilitation programs, some interesting mobility devices, and including an advanced wheelchair. And we had some really interesting furniture products which were introduced to a very top-of-the-range retirement community in London. And we had some really practical and important stuff like smart continence products. And of course, we had some robotics, because whatever people think about robotics at this point, is I do believe that they have a kind of a significant role to play. Some products were more successful than others, and the most successful for those were those that had a strong team behind them, including someone with a commercial background. That seemed to make a big difference, and that the product was at a stage that it could be demonstrated in some form, either physically or digitally. And also where the innovating team was willing to take on the feedback that they received from the services that they received. So if we move on to the next slide, we don't have the businesses here today, but I thought you might like to see some of the feedback we were given. So could we move on to the next slide? Angelique, lovely, here. So the Well Watch was this quite sophisticated health and wellbeing wearable. It's a large pilot, so 50 older people with certain health profiles and their family members. So we managed 100 people, which took a little bit of doing. But Well Watch said that the work that they'd done with the work we'd done for them, so the pilot that they ran was pivotal in the development of their business case. So Nacenta, this was the transport app, said they would never have got this level of insight into cross-border markets without actually talking to people on the ground in those markets that could get the right information to them in the right way at the right time. Enthusia with the smart continence product, and they had been grappling with their value proposition. They couldn't quite pin it down. Well, having a series of meetings and workshops with stakeholders and potential buyers, they were able to refine that down to something really distinct. Next slide, please. Angelique, we have a French product, Familities, which was looking at the UK and French markets and the difference between them. And so we were able to get together panels of consumers in different geographies, which really helped them understand the key differences, often cultural, between the two countries. There's a lot of similarities between the UK and France, but there's a lot of differences as well, and it allowed them to adapt their products specifically for those markets. eWear Solutions is smart clothing, and we gave them access to a variety of people in different nursing and care homes, and they were able to better understand exactly what the product needed to do in certain situations under certain conditions. So they were able to develop their solution to really tailor it to the needs of the buyers and the users. And then Cush Health, this was a digital rehabilitation platform. We did an awful lot with Cush Health. They took advantage of most of the services in some shape or form, and we gave them access to end users, the right end users, to help them create and develop and adapt the product. And they said that it had really accelerated them along their product roadmap. They thought that they got in a few months information and knowledge that would probably have taken them probably 12 or 18 months if they were doing it themselves. So going on to almost my last slide. So we started the programme investigating and supporting businesses in 4 countries, but by the end of the programme, we were aware of businesses with healthy ageing products in nearly 40 countries. And there's been an explosion of innovation in this space since 2015, particularly. Businesses continue to contact us, and this has provided the impetus to carry on with our services beyond the EU project stage, and Ad will talk about that in just a moment. And I would say that in my experience, and I hold this database of nearly 1,500 products from around the world. I talked to an Indian company yesterday who was keen to pilot some products in a care home organisation or a series of care homes in India. Everybody's looking at this space. There are a massive opportunities. But nearly all the solutions we need to help us age well are already out there, but many businesses still need support and help to find the right route to market. And this is where Age Tech Accelerator International comes in. So I'd like to hand over to Ad. Thanks for coming along today, as I said. Thank you for listening to what we had to say about Cease to Grow. And there'll be an opportunity to ask any questions or make any observations a little bit later on. So Ad, over to you.
Yes, thank you. A short introduction to myself. I'm, well, first of all, I hope you all can hear me because my computer doesn't like go to a meeting, it seems, but I hope my voice is loud enough that you can all hear me. Well, I'm working at Smart Homes. It's an expert center in what it says already, smart home world, e-health, home automation is part of it. And yes, we were also participating in this project Cease to Grow that Lorraine talked about, and from that came up the Age Tech Accelerator. And after the project ends, I try now to set up this Age Tech Accelerator concept. So my next slide, oops, this is, I think, my first, yeah, the next slide. Yeah, what I will do, I will talk a little bit about the concept and highlight the difference between what we consider international versus the accelerator in the different countries, regions. I will talk about the ambitions we have, and then try to answer the question, what does support from a foreign incubator involve, and then what are the conditions to be fulfilled? Well, what we consider now as the Age Tech Accelerator in a specific region or within a country is a regional innovation hub of cooperating organizations. You see here all kinds of organizations specifically set up for faster development and large-scale implementation of these ICT-related products and services for aging and care. So yeah, that's a wide definition, but yeah, it's why we set it up. Lorraine has already touched upon that, and probably you're all aware of that. The aging and care market is a very difficult one. Most of the EU-funded projects that we all know and possibly are working on ended with pilots, and so large-scale implementation, faster development, or anyway implementation or deployment is often not has not often taken place. So there are many barriers, and we want to contribute to break these barriers. Now, so in fact, what we like to establish is to accelerate the development and deployment of innovative products, empower all involved stakeholders. That seems always the case, but it's certainly not the case in reality. Create the optimal climate for tech companies, and particular attention, of course, for startups and scale-ups, and to scale with programs for improving the access to specific markets. Okay, now what is then the international H-Tech Accelerator? That is a sort of international umbrella organization, and the national or regional accelerators are partners for that. And all the collaborative or cooperating organizations, we consider them as member organizations. And we consider also experts who want to join as individual members. So the international organization will take care of central marketing, community building, matching the demand and offer from international initiatives and match them with demand or offer in another country or another region. So supporting, of course, startups and scale-ups with business development and money. I come back on that, of course, in the next slides. Now, so here is a scheme. We have not, well, we are working on that. We have not yet established the H-Tech accelerators as such in the different countries, like you see here in the middle, H-Tech Accelerator Netherlands, Belgium, France, etc. These are, let's say, the names of regional initiatives that do exist, but there is not yet an official branding within the different countries. We are working on that. But on top of that, or let's say in a sort of umbrella, as I said earlier, we will have the international organization. And yes, universities, companies, care organizations, welfare organizations, and can be all member of that international community. That's the idea. So there will be sort of governance, of course, within the international accelerator. And right now we are working on a foundation. Several models have been investigated in the past half year, 2 year. It seems that a business, a company is not preferred. It seems that the cooperative is quite difficult. So we are going now for a foundation, a non-profit foundation as the governance model for the H-Tech Accelerator International. And we are looking now for people that are coming into the board of the International Accelerator. So the characteristics of this model are that we will have national networking, of course, within the regions, within the countries, and then international networking above that. And we think that will be definitely of a lot of benefit, as already has been mentioned also by Laurie. We will now, there's a website, an interactive website already, and I will show you later the website name, and then you can visit it. And with that, we hope that we will get stronger, I miss an R here, I see stronger international involvement. An international fund for venture capital is also being worked on. That's not that easy, but there is enough capital, but of course we have to streamline it to the type of work we are working on. And then we also found that there is seed money necessary, of course. Seed money for startups seems still to be coming from national funds. It's quite difficult to do that in an international way. That's just our experience in the past year that we are working on it. Yeah, and then we want to keep the overhead for the H-Tech Accelerator International as lean as possible, as small as possible. Right now, we are only working with a very small budget for the website and the marketing aspects. So, yeah, as I said, the foundation, it will be a non-profit foundation with board members chosen from the various networking partners. So here you see again the scheme for the HTech Accelerator in general. So and what kind of activities we organize there. We will meet, we will guide, we will co-create, co-design, evaluate, find solutions, etc. So all the things that already were listed by Lorraine. And we will do that at international level, of course, exchange, and the real work will be international level. And I also have a slide on that later on. So what is then support? International, yeah, specific expertise from universities that are maybe not present in some countries. So why not going then to the top leading university in another country? Networking, webinars, reports, yeah, all what will come from international support. And national, yeah, more or less the same, but there might be other accents like more business support. And of course, also support from national funding. Yeah, and of course, we didn't talk about the areas yet, although, yeah, Lorraine, of course, also touched that. It's the silver economy, as you all are aware of, can be maybe split up in three main areas. I think by far the biggest is, of course, the healthy aging area, where we talk about consumer products mainly, but with, let's say, emphasis on people who are and like to age healthy and successfully. That's the better word, aging successfully. That means, yeah, there are several products and services already coming up, have come up already in the market, which we do not stigmatize even as being for aging people, but they can be considered as part of the big, enormous, huge, big silver economy market. But even having said that, they exist already. There's a lot more possible, and still a lot of companies don't know exactly how to avoid the stigma of working for people who like to age successfully. So we all know probably that you should never address an older person. Well, what's old? A person of 55, 60, he's of course not old, he or she is not old. But okay, if you have services that are very useful, contribute to comfort, luxury, safety, security, how to involve them, how to sell them to this kind of market. Yeah, and then we have, of course, the market of independent living, which is also growing in very vastly, widely. There we, let's say, we have the persons who have minor problems, but still can live independently. Minor problems in aging, related to aging. Of course, disabilities often occur, but also aging itself, for those who don't know that, it's not a disease. It's something like, yeah, you have less hearing, less sight, less cognitive abilities, and all these kinds of things, less mobility. But it doesn't mean you are ill or sick or whatever. So independent living often is coming with products and services. And of course, also for people who have some illnesses like chronic heart disease or whatever. But they come up here with solutions that keep people independent at home. Yeah, and if it cannot be the case anymore to stay independent, then we have in the different countries institutional care, nursing homes, or whatever you call it. And there you have a totally different market, also with products that are and services that are fully reimbursed in most countries by several bodies, like it can be municipalities, it can be the central government in some countries, or the healthcare insurance companies. So I elaborate a little bit more on the various markets. And then you see here around all the kinds of aspects, all kinds of areas where you can be working in. yeah, I assume it's known to most of you, but for those who are quite new in this area, I thought it was useful to mention that. Okay, yeah. So what again will we do in the HTech accelerators in the regions? Here, I think the real innovation takes place top down and bottom up. You will find their so-called playground if of course all parties are involved, all stakeholders are involved. Institutional, you see already, and that's what we found also in the past years, that care personnel has of course a lot of pressure to work very hard, but they can also be motivated to evaluate, discuss and find new ideas themselves. And when they are asked for their opinion, they also find their work much happier. It's not just the daily hazards and all stuff that they have to do. They also are, most of them, interested in working on new innovations. Yeah, and of course then at home care, the same. Groups of older people in addition here will also be motivated to help with co-creation. That's what we found. They're often happy to do so together with home care professionals. All right, how do we organize that? Yeah, there are several possibilities, of course. Living labs, as again also Lorraine mentioned already, that she gave a definition of what a living lab is. We can have also field labs, which I think are much more narrow. There you have, let's say, empty rooms or houses that are considered as a sort of playground or test environment for testing and demonstration. And then you have, of course, the research labs in the various universities or academia, where we can simulate things and do early prototype testing, but which is not the same as testing in a field lab, and certainly not as testing in a living lab. Yeah, the other things I think I will not touch upon right now. Yeah, the organization, when you consider of what should be the size of an HTech accelerator in a different region, I think it should be of limited size. But I always consider as very important that it should not be difficult to visit each other physically, of course, and then see each other quite often. So you should not have, I think, one big accelerator for one country and have to travel 300 kilometers. That doesn't make sense. So I think a regional like HTech accelerator of not more than 50 to 100 kilometers is by far the best to organize. And of course, even less than what I said. So yes, of course, then we can have the cooperation of the different accelerators in the country. And then you could consider that as a national one. That's more for the governance. It's not that important right now how we mention that. So yeah, I mentioned that already. We will try to set up now an international board of governance consisting of several board members of the different countries. Now, the stages in the Netherlands that we have right now, and I'm looking at the time. Am I right with the timing? Yes, I think so. Oops, what's going on? Now I'm back. Yeah, the stages in the Netherlands, as an example, we are working in the Netherlands. Then we have, and I give you just an example of how we do it here with the regional and national HTech accelerator. We have a program that's called HTech Works, and that has particular focus here on labor saving in care. As we all know, there will be a big shortage of labor workers, care workers, in professional care workers in the future. We started with a care organization, Tante Louise, which is located in the west of the country, between, let's say, Rotterdam. Now, okay, sorry, can you still see me? There is something with, okay. So there was a pop-up in my computer, sorry. The Tante Louise is a care organization, very innovative care organization in the west of the Netherlands, between, let's say, Rotterdam and Antwerp, in that area. They receive, together with other care. Why is it now moving? Are you moving it? Can you put it back, Angelique? I don't know why it's moving. Can you please go back one slide?
Is it okay?
No, one slide back, please.
Oh, back.
Yes, that one. Yes. No.
There is a little bug.
Yeah.
The one before or the one after?
No, next one.
This one?
Next one. Yes, that one. So what we did, we started in 2019 with that program, and they got 2 million euros from the national healthcare insurance companies for a period of 3 years. That will be extended, and we are now, they started in one region and we are expanding to other regions in the Netherlands. And that is a very successful program, with particularly here with the institutional care. So this is not so much the independent living and the let's say the people who are still at home. Here, the healthcare insurance company started also as a result of that with investment funds. They got some altogether some 2 million euros for seed money and capital investments in 3 scale-ups. So you see here, as part of it's really part of a result of Cease to Grow project, that now also this healthcare insurance company sees the benefit of working like that. They are so far not only investing in the scale-ups that are working nationally, but this healthcare insurance company is definitely interested in international, in new companies working now in other countries, coming to the Netherlands, and they are open to work with them and also invest in them if they are, let's say, of course, appropriate and have the right products, services. As I said, that no healthy aging yet, but they are mostly working so far in institutional care. And there are 30 care organizations, 15 SMEs, and 3 universities involved. So this is quite already something. As an example for how we work in the Netherlands. And now I try next slide. Yes, you see an example, but that doesn't say too much. It's just located here in the west. And then we are expanding even to the very north and so on. Okay, so what are the ambitions we want to achieve in 5 years from now? It's we have here the SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, etc. We want to grow to an intensive network of 150 cooperating organizations in Europe via the community building, as I mentioned before. We want to, by 25, some 25 innovations we have finished and brought to the market, and we hope some that would be a great success if we can within the next 4 years. Achievable, yeah, we think in 6 countries we are trying now to set up activities with, I think 100 participating organizations, companies, and universities. Is it, how many care recipients will be then is realistic to have using these kind of new products and services? Well, you can say, of course, 100,000, or it should be even more, but we think we should be realistic and have in 4 years from now some 10,000 care recipients working with that, with thanks to our support and help. Okay, and we are working on, as I said, on several things that should be ready within next month, and the website is more or less ready now. I invite you to go to the website and register yourself. I think here you see a little bit more of the operation plan that we are setting up or carrying out right now. That consists of reporting, highlighting good practices that are already there. And we will call for new companies via the website, social media, etc. So that's all what you can imagine we will do. And yeah, now the conditions for getting support as a startup scale-up, that's what we consider right now is as feasible is the following. First, you should register at that website, and here you see the name htechaccelerator.com, or you can also go to .eu, but that's the same. And then we think if you are interested in services, and we have heard many of them also very successful. On top were, as Lorraine said in the beginning, in the Seize to Grow project, were the cross-border market studies and the co-creation sessions. So if you would like to have such a study for you as a startup or scale-up, we think we can go to a max of €5,000 in value. We will try to invest for you in that. So we will offer that to you, but we will at the same time make a contract with you. If you later on successfully deploy, then you have to pay it back. That is necessary right now, this kind of contract, because we simply are not, well, we are still looking for funding for the whole HTech Accelerator International. We are not there yet. So we don't have let's say, an endless flow of money into that organization. And therefore, we think right now that this is a very fair and good way to work with. So we will do it like that, and I hope to hear from you later on if you can do something with that. So at the same time, connections will be made with capital investors. We have some contacts with them, and later on also the accelerator services with them can be applied for. So yeah, this is, I think, my presentation, and yeah, here again the website. And then I think the floor is now open for discussion with Lorraine and myself.
Yes, thank you very much to both of you for your presentations. And Ada, we have a question from Pedro Augusto, who wants to know who is the contact for HTech Accelerator in Portugal?
Who is the contact in Portugal?
Yes. That
was the question. Yes, if you go to this website, then you can click on Portugal and HTech Accelerator Portugal, and there you find the right contact details. So go to this website and push on HTech Accelerator Portugal. Okay.
Thank you for your answer, Ad. And for the other participants, Lauren wanted to know who are you? If you are an organization, SMEs, a startup. So if you can answer, it will be great.
In the chat.
Yes. And also, does anyone have a question for the speakers? On Seize to Grow, on HTech?
Yeah, hi. I wondered, Angelique, if anybody would just like to kind of very briefly introduce themselves and tell us if they've had any experience of testing or piloting their project, their product, or any other kind of successes or challenges they've had. I'd be very interested in hearing that, if anybody would like to do that. Or is everybody shy?
I think it's difficult to talk with.
Still thinking about possibilities and still have to, yeah, further discuss that. That's also possible.
So maybe, Ad and Lauren, you can put your contact in the chat so that people can ask you questions with them.
I think it's also on the website. But let's do that.
I don't know if anyone's interested in hearing about a pilot that I've been running with a large housing association here in the UK for the last 9 months, where we've been, our cohort is from tenants living in social housing, which is a very difficult group to engage with generally. I don't know if there's any interest in that at all, whether that anyone has a product or service that they've been thinking about selling into housing associations at all. Because everyone's got their cameras turned off, I don't know whether I'm talking to myself or whether there's actually real people out there.
But I'm here, Lorraine.
Who's the gentleman that was on right at the beginning that we saw? Was his name Chris or?
It was I don't. He's here.
Oh, Paolo. Hello, Paolo. There is a real human being at the end of that camera. So, Paolo, we haven't met before, so I wondered if you might just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your interest in this area.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm an officer in an institution called SIM du Havre, which is a intermunicipal community, and I'm the officer responsible for Silver SMEs Interreg. So my interest here is to see what is being done in the area, because Silver SMEs is an Interreg around or about the silver market, the silver possibilities, and innovative technology is a very interesting thing for us. We have a project to develop a platform, a cooperative platform to bring together hotels that are not ready to receive people with some disabilities and not ready, not from the material point of view, but from the human point of view. They do not have the skilled people to do that. And sometimes technological solutions can help if you don't have the exact people and you want to reach the silver market. Silver market is very important for hotelery because people with some disabilities often take families with them. So it's can be a very good market for hotels, but it's also an opportunity for people who wouldn't go because hotels are not ready, wouldn't have their vacation, their holidays, to go and have a life continuing and seeing other things, and especially getting out of their houses or their institutions with their families and travel and have some different time, more life. So that's what we are doing, and that's why I was wanting to be here and watch your project and learn about it. Thank you.
Well, Paolo, it's very interesting, but because I was at a very big conference a few weeks ago, and there was as part of the conference, there was an opportunity to meet people working in this sector who've got new ideas for things. And one of them was an organization that had, it was kind of like a trip advisor for older people or people with disabilities who wanted to visit hotels or restaurants. And this particular app showed them exactly how accessible and how ready that hotel or restaurant was to help people and support people that were visiting that perhaps had mobility problems or had cognitive problems or had other sort of forms of things that go wrong as we get older. And I'm just trying to find, it was a really interesting product that I was going to find a bit more information about. and I'm just trying to find the name of it. I took a photograph of the company, and I'm just trying to find it, and I would be happy to share that, because I think as a concept it works really well, because when you're taking, you know, your parents out or other people who have got older, where you're going is really important in terms of whether you can get a wheelchair into the place, or whether there are stairs, or whether things are all on the same level, or whether, you know, lots of things that make you confident that the place is going to be suitable. So I will, if you want to share your contact details with Angelique, or you can put them here, I can send you that
Yes.
that link, if that would be helpful.
All right. I think it will be helpful, although what you're talking about is something like an online travel agency specialized in the silver market, isn't it? I don't know it, but
it's not a travel agency, so it doesn't book anything. It's an information portal that helps you. Say you wanted to visit a new town or something, it would show you where the best places to go are that are ready to take on people that are perhaps older or have disabilities. So yeah, so
I'm interested. I was saying that although we had an experience, actually it was something that was I don't know how to say it, but it was something that marked us a lot. We had a specialized agency for the silver market, and we realized that actually they have demand, but they don't have offer, meaning that hotels can be prepared for receiving people from the physical point of view. They have ramps, the ramparts, they don't have stairs, they have elevators, they have everything they need, and by law they have to have. They have demand, they have people wanting to go there, but then there is nobody specialized in the hotel. So the human factor is very important for us, because you have in hotels, you have people for cleaning, you have people for receiving, hosting people, but you don't have someone to take care, caretakers actually, formal caretakers to take care of the guests. So if you go with your family, but you have to stay in your room, but you are close to your family cannot leave you, not even for 1 hour, because there's no one skilled in the hotel. And that is not the only thing we want to work in, but it's something we want to work in. We want to have this platform to gather together, to bring together people with skills and hotels, so that they can offer a real product, not only the physical thing, more than that, the real product, a good product. But I'm still very interested in your information. If you can share it, I will send my email on the chat. Okay.
Yeah, I've just found as I was listening to you, I found the link to the company. It's on the chat now. It's www.accessible.co.uk. So what we're almost looking at there is a kind of a new segment, potentially for those working in domiciliary care. So instead of the domiciliary carer going into someone's home, they could go into a hotel or some other kind of public place and offer the same sort of services, to offer some flexibility then to the families, perhaps. That yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea that had not occurred to me before, so I'm going to make a note of that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm sending you my email now.
Lovely, thank you, Paolo. Is there anything else that people have been grappling with or trying to find a solution to from the other people on the other participants here today, maybe we can also find a solution for you. Don't be shy. So in that case, I'll just very briefly, just for a couple of minutes, tell you about this pilot, large-scale pilot we've been running for a housing association here in the UK. So we have a very, very large housing association called Places for People, which is a kind of consortium of landlords, and they offer essentially social housing. So this is rented homes for those that can't afford private or can't afford to rent often with private landlords. So these are people that don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of resources generally. So these rents are capped at a certain level. So we, as part of that, there are tenants in what's called general needs housing, because lots and lots of focus for products is often put on people in care homes or people in nursing home facilities or people that are living in what we call sheltered accommodation. So it is their own kind of flat or apartment, but there is some form of support from a warden or a manager. But these are people who are living completely independently, they're private individuals, but in social housing. And these individuals tend to be, on average, less healthy than other, their peers of their age. They have less disposable income. They have more kind of general crises in life, whether that's health or family. So the Housing Association were having examples of lots of what they call interrupted tenancies. So tenants would suddenly have a crisis and would have to leave the house at short notice. And the Housing Association would then have quite a big gap where they had to find someone else, and that was costing quite a lot of money. So they asked us to come up with some ideas of products and services and solutions for this particular cohort, to see if we could reduce the number of interrupted tenancies. So I worked together with 6 suppliers of products in the UK. We did a large survey of the tenants in the Housing Association to find out exactly what their challenges were, their difficulties were, how they were finding life on a day-to-day basis. And then I selected from this database of 1,500 products and services I have from around the world, all products and services to do with healthy aging. So if you have a product and service that you'd like to put on my database, then you can send me that information to my email or put it in the chat. So I came up with 6 potential solutions to the everyday problems that these people had. And we brought together then a cohort of 22 individuals and their family and partners and such like. And for the last 3 or 4 months, they've been trialing those products. But what we did, and seemed to make a really big difference, because you'll probably know that there is no shortage of really good products and services on the market. Some of them are here today, I'm sure. But there's a really big disconnect between the demand side, so the people that need these products, and the businesses that are making these products available and are developing these products. Often people just don't know about them. So we made some events. We put on 2 events where we brought these people together to meet the businesses, to have a demonstration of the products. They got an opportunity to try them out. They got an opportunity to ask questions about these products. We gave them a lunch. We provided transport. We made life as easy as possible for them, because a lot of these people don't have transport. They have mobility problems. So we got them all into a kind of a social event too. And that combination of a social event and showing them how these products work and allowing them to ask questions, meant we got a really big uptake of products and services that people wanted to try. And we're just in the middle of that pilot at the moment. We've just done a first survey to find out how they're getting on, how they found the event, how they found the installations of the products. And I can keep you posted, if you like, on how what the results are. But what was interesting for us is that if you get people in front of you, if you allow them to confidently ask questions, to find out information, to try things out, then people, even those who might not have any or might not have much knowledge or experience of modern technologies, are actually willing and motivated to try new things out. So if anyone's interested in finding out more about that pilot, then just email me, get in touch. I'd be happy to chat some more, but I just wanted to tell you that little bit of insight that we got of putting on these events, getting people on site, making it quite social, allowing them to ask questions and choosing their own things to try out was a big thing. So Angelique, I'll hand back to you to wrap up.
So, so thank you for participating in this event. So this webinar will be available in replay. So I will send you the link today or tomorrow, and feel free to share it if you have a partner or a company who will be interested in these presentations. So thank you again, Lorraine and Ade, and thank you all for your participation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Have a good day.